A great battle was about to erupt. Deep Tin 2 landed with force, his hand tightening around the girl's neck, exuding menace. Cao Tu Nan removed her mask and charged forward without hesitation. In an instant, a blinding beam of golden light swept past, severing Deep Tin 2's arm. He swiftly caught the falling girl, flinging her out of danger's grasp. Deep Tin 2 had no desire for bloodshed, but now a wave of murderous intent surged within him. Unstoppable, the black pieces swirled around like phantoms. Cao Tu Nan sensed the peril and swiftly turned to flee. Yet soon after, the black pieces pursued her like relentless shadows, a venomous toxin that corroded the very essence of life. If struck, she would likely be reduced to a pool of death in an instant. As she felt them closing in, she was fortunate enough to employ a secret technique to leap into the trees. Deep Tin 2 resolved to fight immediately, shedding his disguise to reveal his true identity as he opened the jar behind him. From the mouth of the jar, billowing clouds of black smoke erupted, mingling with the air. In the end, only a set of clothes remained on the ground. Upon witnessing this scene, Cao Tu Nan was overwhelmed with a sense of bewilderment. At that moment, an oppressive force surged forth, and from the jar emerged tendrils that slithered like venomous serpents. The black smoke rose in thick swirls. As the smoke dissipated, Deep Tin 2 manifested his true form. He slowly unfurled his wings, transforming into a shimmering white butterfly. Next, from his wings, a cascade of purple dust floated and scattered everywhere. Like an ethereal dream, Cao Tu Nan suddenly felt as though time had stretched into eternity. Then, Deep Tin 2 launched his attack. What should have been easily evaded instead froze her in place, leaving her helpless to watch as he struck. Even the motion of falling to the ground became strangely sluggish. Deep Tin 2 continued his relentless assault. Rays of light pierced through her body. The sound of her anguished cries echoed, a reverberation of despair. In that moment, both the spiritual energy and the arena's space lost their ability to contain her. Yaya had just awakened, but there was no time for her to think. She saw Deep Tin 2 rushing forward in haste. The loss of the arena's spiritual energy allowed Cao Tu Nan to regain her breath and restore her normal speed. In the blink of an eye, she soared above Deep Tin 2, and then a flurry of flying daggers descended like rain, targeting her with deadly precision. Next, she stood resolutely before Yaya. Quickly take your friend to find Duang Xie. This body cannot hold on much longer. As soon as she spoke, Deep Tin 2 slowly approached. Cao Tu Nan immediately assumed a defensive stance, determined to block the next onslaught. But suddenly, blood spurted from her mouth, a consequence of her grievous wounds. Yet, within her burned the unwavering resolve to sacrifice everything. It was essential to grant the two girls a chance to escape. In the end, he sacrificed his own life to deliver a decisive blow. A surge of green light shot forth from the blade. The weapon, suspended in the air, transformed into a fierce beast. Then, the great beast spun around, manifesting into a colossal pan, appearing before Deep Tin 2 in the blink of an eye. But as the mist began to clear, only a painful wound remained on Deep Tin 2's chest. Instantly, a mystical thread shot from his hand, tightening around Cao Tu Nan's arm. A red light flared up as a knife-wielding arm flew off like a fatal strike, appearing before Yaya, who was frantically fleeing. In that moment, Deep Tin 2 charged forward, casting Tu Wanung to the ground with unwavering determination. Seeing this, Yaya understood there was no escape left and decided to stand and fight to the end, hoping to buy time for Duang Xie to arrive. But the disparity in strength was overwhelming. With a single strike, Deep Tin 2 brought her to her knees. At that moment, the grip tightened, and Yaya was ensnared in mid-air like a puppet. Deep Tin 2 now exuded a clear aura of murderous intent. The threads slowly constricted, ready to harvest the life of the girl before him. As death loomed, a brilliant white light erupted, revealing a towering mountain of pure white bone before Yaya. At the summit of the mountain sat an unseen servant, meditating in serene silence. We were once a warlike clan, enduring steadfastly on the land of Waha since the dawn of humanity. We are fierce, combative, and possess incredible regenerative abilities. At that time, our clan held but one desire: to fight. Continuous massacres unfolded, and our territory expanded relentlessly. This was our path of survival. Thus, we accumulated too much hatred, becoming a thorn in the side of other ferocious beasts. The spirit beasts united, igniting endless wars against our clan. Years passed, deepening the enmity between the clans. Our population gradually diminished. It was then that I realized if this continued, our clan would face extinction. Therefore, I made a bold decision: leading our people to migrate to a place unknown to anyone. Starting anew, I restrained my warlike spirit and diligently practiced. Over a long period, our clan gradually transformed, or at the very least, ceased to live in poverty. Before closing my eyes for the last time, I cautioned my kin. Do not allow the warlike souls of the past to influence the next generation. Always maintain kindness and stay away from war. Additionally, to guard against unforeseen circumstances, I passed on my spirit energy to each clan member. If one day, my kin were oppressed, in that final moment between life and death, I would awaken to protect them. Therefore, my only descendant need not fear. This power will be bestowed upon you. The undefeated child of the clan. You are the last bloodline of our tribe. Use this power wisely to survive. As you grow, you will possess the ability to create life on your own. Use this power to protect our bloodline, to guard what you wish to preserve. If anyone seeks to destroy it, wield your own hands to defend. That is the mission. At this moment, Yaya gazes up at the sky, tears brimming in her eyes. Thank you, ancestors. I understand now. At that very moment, outside, a fireball erupted. As the dust settled, a completely transformed Yaya emerged. She is the last warrior of the Beast clan. Now, she has embraced the power of her ancestors. Seeing this, Deep Tin 2 dared not hesitate. Charging forward like a tempest, Yaya gathered her strength, stomping her foot down upon the earth. Instantly, a gigantic barrier rose from the ground. Deep Tin 2 crossed his arms, manipulating the strands to pull apart, tearing the earth asunder, before surging forward like a whirlwind of speed. But awaiting him was a powerful punch from Yaya. Infused with ferocious energy, Deep Tin 2 found himself locked in place, unable to evade, and could only hastily spread his wings in defense. As the smoke cleared, Yaya closed in. This punch did not shatter him, but injuries were surely unavoidable. At present, our powers are nearly equal. Continuing this battle holds no meaning. Yet, Deep Tin 2 seemed undeterred, relentlessly pressing the assault. However, the strands at this moment could not inflict any harm upon Yaya. Shortly after, a strike from his side was swiftly blocked by Yaya. You possess greater agility than I, but my reactions are not lacking. However, before he could finish his words, Deep Tin 2 charged again. Yaya quickly raised her arm to shield her chin, yet she was still sent soaring dozens of meters into the air. Before she could regain her footing, two strands wrapped tightly around his waist. With the fierce pull from Deep Tin 2, he too plummeted down. Let's see whose punch is stronger. But contrary to his expectations, just as they were about to collide, Deep Tin 2 suddenly veered to the side, his left leg swinging out, directly striking Yaya. Though Yaya was empowered by her ancestors, in terms of agility and combat experience, she still fell short against her opponent. The advantage now lay solely in strength and recovery. It seemed that the only option left was to fight recklessly. Without a moment's hesitation, Deep Tin 2 immediately pursued, while Yaya raised her fist, opting for a direct assault. Yet, she deftly evaded with ease. Soon after, a hand shot up from beneath, piercing through her chest. However, this was something Yaya had anticipated. She clung tightly to her opponent, determined not to let go. She wished to squeeze until unconscious. With the strength from her arm, Deep Tin 2 was also drawn into the struggle. Suddenly, slender strands emerged from the ground. Seeing death looming near, at that moment, the blade embedded in the earth suddenly radiated a brilliant blue light. As this hand withdrew, it cleaved through completely, returning to the grasp of Cao Tu Nan. Rest for a moment to regain consciousness. Next, let us bring this to an end. I have been gravely wounded, and do not have much time left. Instead, let me deal him a fatal blow. As he fell dramatically, the wielder of the blade, Khu Tu Nan, sacrificed his very soul, choosing death to deliver a fatal blow. The honor of the vanquished, I shall reclaim for myself. In an instant, his blade shattered the skull of the enemy. The green blood splattered into the sky, and at that moment, Khu Tu Nan wore a tragic smile. Soon after, the skin on his body rapidly aged and wrinkled. Yet, he felt no remorse. Perhaps this was his destiny. Then he collapsed to the ground, as Yaya rushed over in panic, urging him to depart in peace. I won't let you fall into danger. Immediately after her words, a gentle blue light ignited in her hands. But suddenly, 4 binding ropes shot forth from behind. Deep Tin 2 had returned to his body. In that moment, Yaya found herself in a precarious situation. If she were to confront him, Khu Tu Nan would surely pay a price. Time allowed her no further contemplation. As Deep Tin 2 recovered and strode toward them, While Yaya wrestled in a fierce battle, another brutal conflict raged on. Some girls, like captives, prayed for Duang Xie to release them, but his gaze held no mercy. With the divination skills of Ham Nu Tu, he felt entirely confident, yet, no one realized that Ham Nu Tu merely stood by, relishing the chaos of the battle. The camera shifted back to Duang Xie, who had sensed the presence of several terrifying demons. They were stalling for Lei. Instantly, Duang Xie was no longer fighting alone, and he swiftly turned towards Lei. At that moment, Lei had regained half of his strength, but it was evident that Duang Xie would grant him no respite. Would their fate truly end here? In despair, a loud explosion echoed from the treetops. Meng Nguyen awoke from the shock of electricity. Shedding his disguise, his eyes glimmered with an enigmatic red light. Then, his form began to grow larger. Before long, his true visage emerged. Suddenly, he towered like a colossal building. Shortly after, he roared at the sky, while Duang Xie had flown before him. With such a monstrous size, one could hope he would accept this. Then, he unleashed 3 bolts of lightning, transforming into a surge of power that attacked the molten rock. Yet, against the fierce assault, he opened his mouth and swallowed it whole. After a moment of gathering energy, he expelled a torrent of force directed at his opponent. Duang Xie felt a wave of frustration. This truly did not pique my interest in the slightest. With a swift kick, the rooster soared into the sky. Returning to Yaya, Deep Tin Tu watched as the two prepared to strike. At that moment, the growl of the Ku Vi Ho echoed through the air. Realizing the critical situation, he immediately took to the skies. Heading in that direction, from a distance, he spotted a tiny silhouette confronting the Ku Vi Ho. Seizing the opportunity while it was distracted, Deep Tin Tu decided to launch a surprise attack. He accelerated into position, his entire being primed for a lethal blow. But just then, Duang Xie sensed the impending threat. Turning with suspicion, Deep Tin Tu instantly recognized that it was Duang Xie. Cold sweat streamed down his face. It felt as though he had trespassed into the realm of malevolence. Without a trace of hesitation, Deep Tin Tu turned and fled. Yet Duang Xie was faster, appearing above him in the blink of an eye, raising his long leg. You must be one of their accomplices. Looking at your face, it seems that Tiu Na and the others have been rescued. Now, there's nothing to worry about. Let's enjoy a little fun together. At that moment, Rong Yuan roared defiantly. Ni Tu had regained consciousness, while Deep Tin Tu, having been knocked down, appeared beside them. Seeing him gravely injured, Ni Tu rushed forward, requesting Led to transform into a container. Elsewhere, the battle raged on. Duang Xie leapt into the air, channeling his strength, preparing to unleash a powerful strike against the Ku Vi Ho's head. It was merely an ordinary punch, yet it shattered its form. Duang Xie was slightly taken aback, but in half a second, the Ku Vi Ho regained its shape, albeit a bit smaller. Taking advantage of its confusion, Duang Xie countered with a whip of his tail. Duang Xie did not evade and was struck hard down to the ground. At that moment, a surge of exhilaration surged within him. If he unleashed a barrage of 4 consecutive lightning-fast attacks, how far could his super speed regeneration capabilities go? With that thought, he charged forward. A few minutes later, Le had fully recovered, and everyone had gathered. Then let's begin our actions. No sooner had he spoken than a radiant beam of light descended from the heavens. As the smoke cleared, Duang Xie appeared in his mini-form before the two. Ni Tu couldn't help but gasp at the sight. This state must have undergone hundreds of rapid regenerations. Without further ado, he shouted and darted towards Duang Xie. But as he reached him, Duang Xie slapped him with a mocking expression, as if he were moving sluggishly. Now it's just you left. If you have any special techniques, hurry and unleash them. Before he could react, he activated his technique, his body instantly disintegrating into fragments, swiftly rushing towards his brother, drawing Duang Sa's attention. At that moment, beneath Ni Tu's fallen form, a swarm began to emerge. Next, they swiftly climbed up his legs, then onto his back, while fragments from the ground broke free and clung to him. Instantly, his body coalesced into a solid mass, tightly embracing Duang Xie as he unleashed his power. Take me as far away as possible. Suddenly, a brilliant green light erupted, and in an instant, the two vanished. When they reappeared, they found themselves on the other side of the world, as his form rapidly receded and disappeared, leaving Duang Xie in a state of bewilderment. Upon returning home, Le did not pause, leading the remaining 3 in a hasty retreat. Just after their departure, a small seed fell from a tree. Upon hitting the ground, a soul clad in a woolen hat emerged. He was the minister of the Monster King clan, Giu Ha Tu. After reporting the situation, he instantly vanished. The scene shifted to Yaya, where after a lengthy treatment, Ku Tu Nin had finally made a complete recovery. And Tiu Na awoke, and they all quickly headed toward the hotel. Upon arrival, Yaya wondered why they weren't going to rescue anyone. Han Nu too maintained an air of mystery, responding in a tone that was half joking, half serious. This place is not suitable for explanations. You'll understand when we get home. We should also leave quickly. Then they all began to pack their belongings and board the plane back. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Duang Xie gazed at the strange landscape with a look of utter disinterest. Suddenly, a small black hole appeared from his cloak, inscribing large letters on the ground. Everyone is well. Return home. How long did it take to cross to the other side of the world? This man took merely an hour. Seeing Ham Nu too and the others return, Duang Xie angrily rushed forward to ask, "Are you the spy sent here?" Ham Nu too didn't offer any explanation. Merely coldly reminded him that too much jesting could lead to disaster. If it were me, I'd leave one behind for interrogation and eliminate the rest. Then, through Yaya's words, Duang Xie grasped the situation. He couldn't help but worry. That red-haired guy broke his arm yet still risked everything to save others. "Were you just at the hotel watching a play?" Ham Nu too only responded with a faint smile. Seemingly unconcerned. Everything lies in the hands of the little Taoist. Hearing this, Duang Xie couldn't help but criticize. "You're such a cold-blooded person. Yet you wish to become our ally? Go graze on grass. That red-haired guy is far more trustworthy than you." Han Nu too offered no defense, simply lingering on. Everything has its reason. All things follow fate. Everyone has their own path. And that is the trial of the red-haired youth. If I intervene, it could alter those very reasons. Next time could bring an even greater trial. You must believe that I do not wish to harm you. For you are the one who can help me fulfill a long-held wish. My purpose of existence is to keep you safe. Upon returning home, Han Nu too sensed something was amiss, feeling a strange breath suddenly manifest in the vast hall. "If I'm not mistaken, you surely hail from the island. Perhaps your ability to conceal yourself is formidable. Yet my home is not as it appears outside." From that position, he manifested a form of footwork resembling the yin-yang diagram, radiating an ethereal green light at a certain point. In the shadows intertwined with the mysterious blue light, Nu stood frozen, unable to fathom that he had been discovered. This man was truly dangerous. If he wasn't eliminated immediately, the future would unravel into a series of immense troubles. Suddenly, a surge of murderous intent rose from the ground. Yet Han Nu too appeared intrigued, his smile teasing fate itself. "If you wish to kill me, there is no need for such theatrics. In truth, I am not your enemy. Your organization is the real villain, Duang Xie is the hero. And I merely stand in the middle. Regardless of what plans you may silently concoct, I will not intervene, nor will I inform Duang Xie. Protecting the current fate is my very purpose." With those words, the cord behind him unexpectedly snapped, and Nu chose to retreat in silence. Han Nu too watched this scene with a heavy heart. Thankfully, I have yet to reveal myself. If I were to kill him, it could alter Duang Sa's destiny. In a separate chamber, Nu knelt, pleading for forgiveness. On the table, the croaking of a frog echoed solemnly. "From now on, you are forbidden to monitor humans and negative beings." Hearing this, Nu grew increasingly anxious. "It's over. The monarch will no longer allow me to carry out my mission. Could it be that I will be blamed for failing my previous task?" Instantly, he recalled the events of the previous night when he had released someone. The monarch had entrusted me with an important mission. It was to use the spirit lake to awaken a corpse. I traversed through my brother's darkness and harnessed the power of the spirit lake. Finally sensing a flicker of life, I thought simply pulling the corpse out would suffice. But as soon as I touched the symbol on the lid, a blinding golden light made me tremble. There was a special seal opposing 10. It seemed that this situation could only be unleashed by humans. I placed the jar at the exposed section of the ground, and just then, someone noticed it. When the army issued the mission, they had instructed me not to kill any humans, lest I provoke the people of Tu City. Thus, I considered allowing the workers here to open it. Afterward, I would incapacitate them and take the corpse inside. If nothing unexpected occurred, everything would go smoothly. Little did I know, the corpse began to siphon the souls of those individuals. As I sought an opportunity to strike, more people rushed in. Everything that followed became irretrievable. The corpse devoured everyone and transformed into an entity of S-class consumption. At that moment, I was truly bewildered. I wanted to act, but the monarch called me back, because Tu City had discovered his existence. "They are rushing here." Then, That person entered the body of a human girl and entrusted me with the task of watching him. But tonight, Fuang Tian has discovered me. This time, it's truly over. While Niu remained lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, he heard the voice of the Demon King echoing. What happened last night is not your fault. Soon, a more important mission will await you. With those words, the image of the frog gradually faded. In his heart, he silently thought, the next mission will surely coincide with the selection for Dode Quan. Do not let any carelessness slip through. The next morning, Duang Xie was awakened by sounds from outside. As he descended the stairs, he saw Ku Tu Nen awake, exchanging words of gratitude with Yaya. Spotting Duang Xie, Yaya offered a friendly smile, and Ku Tu Nen immediately spoke up. If you have saved our lives, from now on you will be our brother, our leader. Duang Xie felt a headache coming on. Another trickster has joined us. Suddenly remembering the sound of a knock, he opened the door to find Ham Nu Tu. Once everyone was seated, Ham Nu Tu said solemnly, I have come to welcome a special guest. Indeed, not long after, Vong Dao Qi appeared. He came not only to steal but also to bid farewell. Now that his health had improved, he felt it was time to rest after a lifetime of battle. While my bones have not yet shattered, I wish to travel, to behold the beauty of nature, and to fulfill the wishes of my fallen comrades. With that, without giving anyone a chance to retain him, he immediately departed. At that moment, Ham Nu Tu put forth a request. Trang Tiu Na has just awakened her spirit and needs more practical combat experience. Duang Xie is not skilled at calling people, nor am I a martial arts master. But if we speak of strength, Nguyen was once the leader at Yu Tan Tu, having fought in the army since childhood, experiencing countless battles. Therefore, I propose that before the Dode Quan competition begins, we assist her in some training. What do you think? As soon as he finished speaking, Vong Dao Qi happily agreed. Taking this opportunity, I will return the old favor. After agreeing on a time, Vong Dao Qi promptly left. Just then, a roar erupted from behind Duang Xie. We must begin training right away. 1 month is enough for Tiu Na to master her right hand as skillfully as her left. Let's go, Tiu Na, we will soar like arrows, together dominating Dode Quan and becoming the most outstanding figures of this year. Duang Xie looked at Ku Tu Nen, now overtaken by the spirit of a middle-aged man, and Tiu Na clenched her fists. At that moment, the scene shifted to a desolate place outside the city. A large group of monsters knelt on the ground, awaiting orders from the Demon King. Amidst the ruins, these creatures gathered together. The voice of the frog above echoed, Get up. This task is not simple at all. They felt a sense of regret regarding this mission, as the team leader had been negligent, leading to the deaths of many members. Duok Vong did not chastise them. He calmly stated that everything was within expectations. Even if in the end, they could not escape, he would notify the witch to take them away and had entrusted the next plan. In a month, when the competition for the throne commenced, they would go to subdue other class of monsters aside from Tang Kak. The great monsters received the orders and responded respectfully. All the while, at Han Long Qi's residence, he was meditating, seemingly lost in a deep thought. Master, you spoke of the fate of the noble ones. Indeed, it has been altered by a young girl. This once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity. The disciple would certainly safeguard it at all costs. The one who has caused us suffering and destroyed the sect will soon appear. Today, the disciple has waited far too long. The scene transitions, and Han Long Qi approaches the formation of the Fan Thien. As he stepped in, he saw Li Nia Suyen collapse by the pillar. Sensing something was amiss, he rushed over immediately. However, as he left the area, the sound of the gourd rang out. Li Nia Suyen, hearing the commotion, awakened and asked, What is happening out there? Han Long Qi recounted the story of Wei Than. Li Nia Suyen quickly began to analyze. The intentions of the Fan Thien and this event are certainly not coincidental. It could be orchestrated by someone. This enemy cannot be underestimated. The true strength of Tang Kak is known to no one but us. Perhaps the ancient spirit is targeting Tang Kak. To awaken, it is hard to believe that Tang Kak's power surpasses anything they ever predicted. This group behind the scenes cannot contend with Tang Kak, and the next target will surely be me. I need to strengthen the barrier. In over a month, that will be when I am at my weakest. And at that moment, coincidentally, it was the competition for the throne. Han Long Qi was filled with surprise upon hearing this. I will immediately notify the higher-ups to cancel the competition for the throne. All forces must converge at the headquarters of the Yutan. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Nia Suyen interrupted. These beings have been lurking for 1,000 years. We cannot let them discover us. If their target is me, Then let them come. After all, I am the head of the greatest remedy in history. Suddenly, Han Longqi recalled a certain Fuang Tian who would participate in this competition. Due to the early destruction of the sect, I know very little about the Fuang Tian. Are they truly as the texts depict? Upon hearing this, Li Nia Suyen's expression turned grave. They are not merely divine. If Fuang Tian truly exist, they may be quietly devising something grand. Quang Tan too, the master of profound mysteries, possesses knowledge beyond count, and the potion he concocted is hailed as the strongest remedy. Yet, his most exceptional disciple, Wen Thien Chin, chose to descend the mountain to cultivate alone. Wen Thien Chin believes that aiding humanity in shaping its history is the true path. Upon receiving Quang Tan Tu's approval, he established a new sect known as Fuang Tian. Through the mystical art of astrology, he quickly garnered recognition from the rulers, even leading to the construction of a temple in his honor. From that moment, the Fuang Tian sect became renowned across the realm. However, despite having numerous disciples, none were directly taught by Wen Thien Chin, until one fateful day, during a master-disciple ceremony. A young man burst into the temple, becoming the first disciple to gain Wen Thien Chin's acknowledgement. The young man bore the name Han Long Kai. That day marked the first encounter between them. While everyone knelt in reverence, Han Long Kai boldly stepped forward, gazing at the young man who had intruded upon the temple. Just as the nearby disciples were about to rush in, Han Long Kai declared his purpose with unwavering clarity. I, a humble junior, possess a modicum of knowledge in astrology, and I wish to join the ranks of Nguyen Thien Su, dedicating myself wholly to the peace of the world. To reject joining the Fuang Tian sect would mean to become an enemy of all beings. In response to the young man's self-introduction, the figure seated above remained unperturbed. Yet, Han Long Kai maintained his confidence. Only when a disciple nearby attempted to drag him away did he hastily exclaim, "In 5 days, a noble person will surely appear, bringing peace to the world." Upon hearing this, Wen Thien Chin seemed captivated. Time swiftly passed, and the 5th day had arrived. Under a sky shimmering with stars, a brilliant green meteor suddenly sliced through the heavens. From the mountain peak, the young man gazed intently, silently affirming his divination, his heart brimming with joy. He then directed his gaze down into the profound abyss. "Master, my interpretation is correct, is it not?" As soon as he finished speaking, a white crane spread its wings and flew in, carrying Wen Thien Chin, who sat in serene meditation upon its back. He slowly opened his mouth, the first question echoing, "How did you know I would accept you as my disciple?" The young man replied with excitement, "My sect is always devoted to safeguarding the peace of the world. I, too, share that ambition. Furthermore, my astrological skills are a gift from the heavens, my talent unparalleled. Though the disciples of Nguyen Thien Su are many, none can compare to me. Most importantly, my fate is intertwined with that of Nguyen Thien Su." At this moment, Wen Thien Chin sensed something amiss. "How can you possibly interpret my destiny? So can your divination predict the fate of an egg?" Han Long Kai confidently responded. "Huh, you can't even predict an egg?" Wen Thien Chin was astonished, unable to believe that the young man had extended his interpretation beyond even that. Gradually, the intention to take him on as a disciple began to blossom within his heart. Looking at the young man standing behind, he wished to add another prediction. Yet, he suddenly realized that he could not deduce anything further. There is only one possibility. The existence of this young man could influence the course of history for thousands of years. The 5 Fuang Tian consists of a total of 8 institutes, and one must endure 4 years of study before having the chance to ascend. To enter the highest institute, it would take at least 30 years. However, Han Long Kai managed to enter the high-level institute in just 1 year. The martial arts of 5 Fuang Tian also progressed remarkably, with many disciples praising him as a genius. Yet, not every sect possesses such extraordinary talent. 5 Fuang Tian only has one combat technique, the gun choyan, but he remains oblivious to it, even possessing skills inferior to those of his fellow disciples. Nonetheless, he always finds ways to compensate. For instance, he can wield a bean as a weapon of attack, though it is more suited for support. Wen Thien Chin taught him all the martial arts, and they often fought and discussed philosophy together. The relationship between master and disciple transformed in a wondrous way, evolving from teacher and student to 2 companions on a journey. Days passed, years followed, and on the day Han Long Kai came of age, Wen Thien Chin declared that he would be the sole heir of 5 Fuang Tian. Yet, Han Long Kai resolutely refused. This scene left everyone bewildered. Even Wen Thien Chin was at a loss. However, Han Long Kai had his own reasons. Master, I am truly sorry. My mission is not to inherit the temple or lead Phi Fuang Tian. The teachings you imparted to me, I will forever hold dear. Yet, each person born into this world carries their own mission and significance. And my mission is the aspiration of Phi Fuang Tian, to protect the peace of the people. While history may pause, if there are those who seek to disrupt, then there must be someone to stand guard. Only thus can the people, under the protection of Phi Fuang Tian, find solace, even if I am not remembered by future generations, nor recorded in the annals of history. It matters not, I will live alongside the currents of history. So I ask for your permission. Master, I will go into seclusion to contemplate. Thank you for nurturing me all these years. The peace of this world can only be preserved when all people strive toward it together. Even if I am not recognized by the world, nor inscribed in history, it is of no consequence. I will coexist with history. Thus I seek your permission, Master, to retreat in contemplation. Thank you for your teachings throughout the years. Over the years, I have truly been happy to be a disciple of Nguyen Phong Tien. Though I call you Master, I still feel as though you are a dear friend. At this moment, Nguyen Thien Chen, having heard these heartfelt words, suddenly awakened to a realization. So, after joining the sect, all my study plans were arranged by you beforehand, weren't they? Disciple wishes to reveal nothing, yet fate cannot be disclosed. Follow me to that place, and you shall understand the reason. Soon, the two arrived amidst the towering mountains, where a mystical cave lay hidden. This was the very location Han Long Kai had sought ever since he learned the art of sowing seeds. This journey spanned 8 long years, and today, it had finally come to fruition. As they entered, the busy black beings all paused their work, transforming into countless seeds that tumbled to the ground. Nguyen Thien Chin looked up in awe. The sign above bore the inscription, Resource Cultivation Pavilion. Under the moonlight, the entire structure took on an enigmatic aura. Han Long Kai bowed deeply. Disciple has spoken. You are the one I am fated to meet. Yet truly, you are the benefactor of my destiny. At that time, I cast my divination and saw. In 500 years, a being from the celestial realm will appear. One who does not belong to the 5 elements. When this being arrives, chaos will engulf the world. Yet, disciple cannot deduce the identity of this person. With the only variable being defeat at their hands, the connection between us may indeed have the power to turn the cosmos upside down. This ailment is truly an ominous sign. I hope that through this meditation, I may discover a way to resolve it. Forgive me, Master, I should not have allowed my name and clan to be entangled in this. But fate has already been set. With that, Han Long Kai hastened into the depths of the cave. Yet at that very moment, countless red threads, sharp as daggers, suddenly appeared from behind. Nguyen Thien Chen observed this scene, murmuring, it seems that before taking on a master, he was already aware of the impending peril that pursued him. With his ability to deduce, he could easily eliminate the threat. Yet he remains concerned for the fate of the people. The willingness to accept rather than flee from danger is indeed a testament to a noble will and spirit. Truly, a gifted diviner. Who would have thought such talent could be found in this desolate place? There are those who toil for the safety of the populace, yet only weariness is their reward. Time has slipped away, and 3 months have passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Nguyen Thien Chen arrived here. As the door creaked open, the sight that greeted him left him in astonishment. On the ground lay countless sheets of paper scattered about. The young man remained curled up, deeply engrossed in writing, oblivious to the footsteps behind him. I'm done, Han Long Kai. Nguyen Thien Chen couldn't bear to interrupt, wishing to advise him to take a moment's rest. How long have you been immersed in your divination? Han Long Kai paused, turning to reveal his gaunt face. 2,000 years, Master. The only variable has been uncovered by your disciple. In this battle, I have nothing left to cling to. The rest shall be entrusted to you. In truth, this cave serves merely as a prison, a means for me to feel your governance. If one day you remember your disciple, please come here to meditate and refine elixirs. You must come. I shall shine alongside the sun and the moon. I take my leave first. Nguyen Thien Chen, unable to bear witnessing him deplete himself to such a point, ultimately feared a tragic end awaited. At that moment, he clasped his hands before his chest. A finger tightly grips a black bean. Immediately, the surrounding spiritual power converges upon that bean. This change is something only you can witness. To retain 7 parts of your soul, seek someone capable of inheriting. In 200 years, war will erupt. The course of history shows that war is inevitable. What can Nguyen Tien do but assist the monarch, striving to minimize losses? Now, Nguyen Thien Chen gazes upon the town swallowed by war, silently calculating, murmuring, "At last, you have appeared." Before long, he arrives at the town center. Seemingly searching for something, he halts before a collapsed house. Inside, a couple curls up, their bodies lifeless, lost in deep despair. "If this continues, you will become monsters. Rest in peace. There is nothing to regret in raising children." After the bones have vanished, a boy appears lying on the ground. It turns out this couple was protecting their child. The boy is indeed not as ordinary as his appearance suggests. Amidst the heat and clamor, the boy neither cries nor screams. Fortunately, he was discovered in time, otherwise, his life would have been short-lived. Win Thin Chin gently lifts him up, placing the black bean infused with spiritual essence into his mouth. The breath of the essence will safeguard the tender soul of the child. To awaken your soul, live with unwavering will. Let no one know of your existence. In this chaos, no one will train you to be the greatest defensive mage. From this day forth, you shall bear the name Tu Tik and fulfill our wish. Go guard the only change after 1,000 years. In the blink of an eye, a month has passed, and the competition for the prize will begin tomorrow. Everyone has prepared, and under the guidance of Vong Dao Qi and Tu Na's combat skills have advanced remarkably. This scene fills Vong Dao Qi with immense satisfaction. Tu Tik feels embarrassed kneeling before the master, as if waiting for something. Meanwhile, Cao Tu An has mastered the sword technique with her right hand. Making impressive strides, she is filled with confidence. The time for parting has come. Vong Dao Qi leaves under the emotional gazes of everyone. This man, over 90 years old, has cast away the obsessions of his heart. Having fought his entire life, now is the time to rest. Wandering far and wide to behold the beauty of the world. Yet throughout his journey, he is never alone, for the lost comrades seem to linger beside him. There is joy, laughter, happiness, and even liberation. Vong Dao Qi quickens his pace, carrying them towards the horizon. A journey that belongs to everyone. At the headquarters of Yu Tan, people have gathered. Cao Tu An is denied entry, and Tu Na is led before a stranger. Tu Tik meets Han Long Kai for the first time, while Duong Kak is summoned by Li Nyat Suyen. "How is it? Does Duong Kak wish to meet the master?" "Of course, but I want to challenge the master once more. There aren't many skilled fighters at the foot of the mountain, it's quite dull." Hearing this, Li Nyat Suyen felt a bit embarrassed, deciding to let it go. Mastering 4 forms of transformation but only proficient in 2. Duong Kak gazed at Thin Lat above with awe. Before Li Nyat Suyen could explain, he surged forward with fierce determination. Li Nyat Suyen shouted in anger, but soon astonishment washed over his face. Only the previous generation's heirs could lift it, everyone else was powerless. Yet, this young boy could raise it single-handedly. It seemed the secrets of the master held many more mysteries waiting to be uncovered. A roar of fury erupted as Duong Kak descended, resolutely stating his purpose. "I suspect there is a traitor within the headquarters of Yu Tan. For now, we must remain here and fortify the shortcut. If anything happens, it will surely unleash chaos beyond imagination. During the contest for the prize, you will ensure the safety of Yu Tan's headquarters. If anyone dares to cause trouble, eliminate them at once." Upon hearing this, Duong Kak nodded solemnly. The disciple finally mentioned Tu Tik, recounting their entire acquaintance. Li Nyat Suyen's expression gradually softened upon hearing the words, Tu Vien. Indeed, the decision to send Tu Duong Kak down the mountain previously was a wise choice. If the encounter with the girl Trong Tu Na increased Duong Kak's chances of dispelling the death calamity by 50%, then the addition of Thuong Tien surely elevated that number to 70%. That girl is none other than Tu Tik. "Don't let me down." In the command room of Sao Tan S, Tu Tik appeared with a radiant smile. Han Long Kai mentioned there were some matters to clarify, but Tu Tik seemed to understand his thoughts and proactively responded. "As for why Thuong Tam had to hide, we shall wait and see. It cannot be disclosed at this moment. Regarding Tu Dao's appearance, all I can say is it is because of Duong Kak. He is the benefactor of the sect, and thus Tu Dao must lend support. This sect is renowned for its combat techniques and divination, always prioritizing the survival of its members. Surely you understand? There are many minor issues that cannot be addressed right now. After all, heavenly secrets cannot be revealed, as they pertain to the fates of many. Understood. If Duong Kak claims you are Thuong Tien, and there are things unspeakable, I shall not pry further." Having said this, Han Van Kai produced an object and tossed it to Tu Tik. She deftly caught it and opened it to reveal the bracelet lost during the contest. "No Dao will not trouble you any longer." Watching Tu Tik's retreating figure, Han Van Kai couldn't help but furrow his brow, lost in thought. I didn't expect your appearance to be related to this road. If the immortal faction was secretly planning 1,000 years ago, and Tanky was a part of it, it would be a terrible thing. In another room, and Xiaoya looked at the man in front of her with confusion. This man introduces himself in white Japanese. He is responsible for evaluating all departments. Previously, he came here mainly to get to know Xiao Feng. Xiaoya told me how roads work. Although his consciousness was sealed, she could borrow some power. After confirming that Xiao Feng posed no threat, Bai Ri handed over the lost bracelet to her, but he asked her not to use Xiao Feng's power in the competition, so as not to cause unnecessary panic. As soon as she walked out the door, and Xiaoya saw two people waiting. We should also go in. Then, a few people entered a mysterious space. The status of Zhang Xiaoya and Chu Ziying has been successfully confirmed. Welcome to the award ceremony. As the doors slowly opened, we saw that many contestants had already gathered in the hall. Fortunately, the space is quite large. The air here is not calm. There are usually 500 players participating in each game, but only up to 15 players can become monsters. Therefore, the struggle for position will be very intense. When all the contestants were present, a winged figure slid down from above, attracting all the sharp eyes from the crowd. I am a judge for this year's competition. Welcome to the journey of winning. We will immediately go to the competition venue. Enter gate 1 and enter the subway station. As soon as the light shone, a door somewhere opened and everyone walked forward. The train is coming soon. And soon after, people set foot on the magnificent mountains. Stop it, this is where we compete. There is no one around for 100 miles, so you can unleash your abilities to the fullest. In this forest, there are 260 independent villas waiting for participants. The battle for the house has officially erupted. Everyone surged in all directions like tempestuous winds, and Tiu Na yearned to join, but suddenly noticed that the two behind her stood still as statues, while many others remained unmoving. Through her conversation with Ha Tu Hu, she realized that those left behind possessed a significant advantage, stealthily attacking those in front. Yet Cao Tu Nian paid them no mind. Our speed is like the wind, nothing can hinder us. Too swift to seize the house. It holds no meaning. With that said, she uttered no more and dashed off in search of her prey. Miss Trong, do not worry too much. With your abilities, there is certainly nothing to fear. Remember your state on the blind island. If you can take the lead, then it is time to set off. Hearing this, Trong Tiu Na's eyes lit up, azure patterns blossoming from her forehead like a mark of power. Beneath her feet, waves rippled against the earth. The maiden harnessed the strength of the ground to leap into the air, her gaze shining with confidence. Approaching Ha Tu Hu, he strolled leisurely through the forest, creating a few mysterious black holes, commanding them to seek a quieter path. He withdrew his pipe and walked under the moonlight. Meanwhile, in another direction, a thrilling chase unfolded. The man in the blue robe glanced back at his pursuers, unable to suppress a disdainful smile. Shortly after, he spat into his hand, molded it, and pulled out an enormous net. The net grew larger, like a storm engulfing the approaching group. A bunch of fools daring to confront me. Though my net may not be durable, its stickiness is not something everyone can escape. But just as he finished speaking, a large foot came crashing down upon him. Cao Tu Nian whirled by like a whirlwind. No one could halt her. How disappointing. Surely ahead lies our home. The distance is gradually closing. Initially believing victory to be within grasp, but at this moment, a shadow surged up from the ground with a mocking expression. Unforeseen, she was quicker. Those behind could only stare in disbelief. Yet perhaps even the belly could not be filled. But just as the words left his lips, a golden aura immediately enveloped him. And then, the figure of Cao Tu Nian appeared at the door of the house, lifting her foot with a cold expression. The verification of identity was successful. Congratulations to Cao Tu Nian for claiming residency at Villa number 98. At that very moment, a man, panting heavily, rushed toward Villa number 11. The house was within reach. Just a little more and it would be his. But suddenly, he froze and collapsed, losing consciousness. Almost immediately, a dark head emerged from his ear, falling onto Ha Tu Hu's shoulder. The scene shifted to Villa number 77, where a severely injured man had arrived. To safeguard everything, the contestants in his path had been dealt with effortlessly. Now, he needed to enter the house to rest immediately. Tomorrow will herald a merciless battle. Yet at this very moment, a notification sound rang out, asserting an identity with unwavering clarity. Congratulations, in Tiu Na, you have claimed the mansion number 77. As in Tiu Na deactivated her invisibility, she appeared with a mischievous smile and softly uttered her apologies. This house now belongs to me. With that, she stepped into the room, leaving the bewildered man behind. As she flopped onto the sofa, the sound from her bracelet chimed, signaling the conclusion of the first trial. A total of 492 contestants participated, and 268 had been eliminated. To ensure a smooth competition tomorrow and avoid unnecessary troubles, all residents are advised to take heed. Before 8 a.m. tomorrow, it is strictly forbidden to leave your mansion. Those who violate this rule will be disqualified. Upon hearing this, Tiu Na resolved that regardless of the challenges tomorrow, she must not fail. She planned to wash her face to relax a bit, but as she lowered her head, a strange image appeared in the mirror. Someone was gazing at her with a chilling stare. As she lifted her gaze, that image vanished into thin air. However, as he turned to leave, a hand suddenly emerged. Next, a spirit crawled out from the mirror. In the deep of night, as Tiu Na had fallen into a deep slumber, that spirit crept out from the bathroom, approaching her bed with an eerie posture. Then, it stretched its bony hand toward her. The man, just about to drift off to sleep, suddenly heard a chilling laugh echoing, accompanied by the call of "Papa." He immediately broke into a cold sweat, suspecting he was facing a ghost. Shortly after, the door to the room slowly creaked open. A plump shadow emerged. Unexpectedly, a creature with a crooked brow and bulging eyes charged forward. The man, filled with terror, swiftly dodged and leapt out of the house. This scene was also being recorded by the surveillance camera, and instantly, the words, "Go outside," appeared on the screen. This meant that the man had failed in this trial. Simultaneously, the large screen continuously announced that someone had exited. It seemed this competition would see quite a number of eliminations. Could Tiu Na overcome this challenge? The scene shifted back to Tiu Na, deep in her sleep, suddenly sensing something amiss. The blanket on her body suddenly fell to the ground in a strange manner. She heard the sound of fingernails scraping against the glass. Tiu Na instantly awoke, and before she could grasp what was happening, a hissing sound echoed, seemingly emanating from beneath the bed. She cautiously peered out, her gaze probing yet revealing nothing amiss. Could the sound she heard merely be the creaking wood of the bed yielding to the heat? She had thought there was something lurking beneath it. Just as doubt clouded her mind, a terrifying face suddenly emerged behind her. Yet, in an instant, two fingers shot forward, targeting his eyes with lethal precision. In a heartbeat, the strike found its mark. I sensed a wondrous energy. In truth, I had recognized you from the restroom, though I felt no murderous intent from you. Fortunately, I had only pretended to sleep to see your true intentions. With the solemnity of a thread-spun monster, this area surely could not harbor any malicious entities. Thus, it is likely that the thread-spun beast sent you here, for you did not attack me. All your recent actions were merely tests of my abilities. The overseer had warned that leaving this mansion would result in elimination. So it is clear, you are indeed a contestant in the second heartbreak competition. The essence of the heartbreak competition perhaps lies in courage. At that moment, the screen suddenly illuminated with the words, "Past." Overseer Bui Tu smiled gently. Not too shabby. The power of the bullet has yet to be unleashed, and you have already surpassed the first two trials. It seems you still possess some strength. However, the official battle tomorrow will not be so simple. This time it is not like before. It is not merely a race for the championship, but a fierce contention among the secret schools of Mat, the secret schools of Gun, and the secret schools of O, to determine the successor to the sect leader. The man turned off the lights, only to suddenly notice a shadow gliding through the corridor. When he switched the lights back on to investigate, the shadow vanished mysteriously. He thought he was seeing things, but when he turned off the lights again, the shadow reappeared. Trying once more, the shadow moved closer to his side. Turning around, he discovered it was a creature with a mouth where its eyes should be. The monster laughed chillingly. Yet, in the next moment, a fist slammed brutally into his face. Speaking hastily, "How did you get in here?" A flurry of savage punches rained down incessantly. The poor monster pleaded, "Big brother, please don't hit me anymore. This is the second heartbreak competition." At that very moment, in another room, a strange doll stood silently. As Ha Tu Hu entered, the doll's eyes unexpectedly began to move. Yet he seemed utterly unaware. Sitting in silent meditation, the doll couldn't help but think, has this person fallen asleep? With such a lack of observation, he surely cannot win the house. This fool shall be easy prey for my fright. Soon after, it intended to release the creature from its mouth. But just then, Ha Tu Hu spoke. "When I meditate, I dislike being disturbed. Black Bean, take him outside." As soon as he finished speaking, several black holes suddenly appeared around the doll. Then, It lifted the monster and tossed it mercilessly out the door. Time flew swiftly, and by the next day, the contestants were gathered once more. The remaining 182 were those eliminated yesterday. Before the official competition commenced, I must announce something of great importance. In the contract that you signed before the competition, there is a clause regarding life and death. In this competition, surprises lurk at every corner. If you are too stubborn, the price you may pay could very well be your life. Before we begin, your wristbands will display a random number. The highest score is 100. However, if your score is below 60 after the competition concludes, you will leave with nothing. The contest will last for 7 days and 7 nights. Take note, you are not allowed to bring water or food. Within this 100-kilometer radius, there are plants and water sources that we have prepared for you. But beware of the birds. For many snakes and venomous insects lurk in the shadows. Every night at precisely midnight, food and clean water will be released at random. You may also take the initiative to search for supplies. Next, I will introduce the functions of the wristband. This wristband is equipped with a radar and navigation system. Each person will have 3 opportunities to activate a special radar that helps identify precise coordinates within a 20-kilometer range and guide you. However, remember that when you activate the radar, everyone within that 20-kilometer radius will also know your exact location. You may become the target of nearby hunters. Simply enter the established password and the score you wish to transfer to another, and the wristbands need only touch for 5 seconds. You can use any means necessary to seize points from your opponents, of course. You may also eliminate them. As long as the opponent's heartbeat ceases, the wristband will automatically transfer all points to the first person who touches it. If someone cannot continue, they may choose to use the device. Those using the device need simply to perform this action. You must wear your wristbands at all times. If hidden, you will be immediately disqualified. If everything is clear, we will proceed to the random distribution of points. This competition wagers your very life. It will allow for the elimination of opponents to acquire necessary points. Next, the points will be distributed at random. Everyone watched in suspense as the virtual images projected from the wristbands. Some were overjoyed, while others were filled with dread. The contestants with low scores had already determined their targets. Then, he saw a colossal number displaying a score of 0. The wearer of this wristband was Trong Tiu Na. At this moment, she looked utterly dejected. Just then, the voice of the overseer echoed once more. Those with low scores should not panic too much. After all, 90% of the participants are below 60 points. The competition has officially begun. And one by one, they began to depart from this place. Those with the lowest scores will be prioritized for departure. You have 3 minutes to leave this place. That's enough time for you to find a hiding spot in the forest. In the embrace of shadows, each person's identification number is clearly displayed. Anyone whose number is called can leave freely. As each number is announced, the corresponding individuals hastily flee. Little Trang noticed many people with a score of 0, and her heart felt a wave of relief. At that moment, Cao Tu-Y approached to inquire about her score, to which she honestly replied, "I scored 98 points. Isn't that remarkable?" Cao Tu-Y smiled brightly, revealing a dazzling set of white teeth. "Good luck. I hope we meet again in 7 days." The encouragement from her teammate filled her with confidence. Shortly after, the supervisor called her identification number. After bidding farewell to her teammates, she resolved to leave this place. The villain subtly twitched his fingers, murmuring, "This sign indicates she is facing someone she shouldn't encounter. I hope Miss Trang won't let her first battle dampen her spirit." Not long after, little Trang found the perfect ambush position. It was the closest spot to the gathering site. With a commanding view, "I am Lin Fan. It's time to choose my opponent and make my move." Currently, someone had passed through this area, but they all felt incredibly strong. As for me, Lin Fan, perhaps I need to face a few opponents to bring my score back to a safe level. Thus, the first battle is extremely crucial. I can't afford to expend too much energy. While she was deep in thought, she unexpectedly saw someone approaching. It appeared to be a child, but its strength was surprisingly weak. However, if it had passed the previous 2 rounds, it surely possessed formidable combat abilities. As long as I can restrict its movements, securing the points will become effortless. Little Trang immediately set her plan into motion. Soon after, the young man in purple felt his body suspended, unable to move, and saw his opponent materializing not far away. "Hey kid, how many points do you have? Can you share some with me?" the young man replied arrogantly. "I have 78 points, but I don't want to share with anyone." Upon hearing this, little Trang felt a surge of helplessness. The rules state that any method can be used to force the opponent to surrender their points. But being a child, she couldn't be too ruthless. While she pondered her options, she suddenly realized the boy was sound asleep. Instantly, her eyes widened in disbelief as she sensed the young man's power suddenly multiply. It even surpassed her own. He was sleeping, yet a shadow of a skeleton loomed behind him. His breath grew increasingly powerful. Witnessing this scene, little Trang felt an icy chill run down her spine. What mystery lies behind such an increase in strength? Though I was uncertain of his abilities, and whether he was awake or not, he was now trapped by me. There was a distance between us. Perhaps I should take the initiative. Teach him a lesson, and then decide what to do next. However, it seemed the young man across from me also realized this, as his body immediately elongated, breaking free from the confinement. And then he lunged towards Xiaozhang. In the blink of an eye, he was behind her, swiftly turning and striking her neck. A resounding thud echoed as Xiaozhang fell to the ground. At that moment, the young man awoke, as if everything that had transpired was merely an involuntary reaction during his sleep. He let out a sigh of relief. Fortunate that he hadn't harmed this sister's life. It was still acceptable, but he needed to secure her feet. I can only help you this far. I feel so sleepy. I must find a safe place to rest. After arranging things for Xiaozhang, the young man began to walk away. At this moment, a pair of eyes peeked out from the bushes, observing every development. Not long after, the young man entered the forest. Yet with his striking appearance, he quickly drew attention. Behind him was a trio. The plump man, with a self-satisfied expression, swiftly unleashed his powers. The ground beneath seemed to sprout stone tentacles, crawling up like monsters from hell. They tightly ensnared his legs. Soon after, a layer of slimy membrane enveloped him, forming a ring that imprisoned him. The man in the hat, with a mocking smile, taunted, "You can't escape from here. Clearly just a fool." The plump man reveled in his triumph. As the controlling liquid melded with the earth, hardening like concrete 3 times its usual strength. Yet, why was it so eerily silent? To prevent an explosion, the man in the hat immediately commanded the fat one to drill a few small holes and use his abilities. Suddenly, from beneath the earth, a swarm of venomous insects emerged. Though none were particularly strong on their own, their sheer numbers could be lethal. The insects slithered into small holes under the man's control. Yet the horrifying screams everyone anticipated were conspicuously absent. While everyone remained bewildered by the unusual silence, a deep voice suddenly resounded from behind. "You should leave. I have no intention of harming anyone. Right now, I just wish to find a quiet place to sleep." The young man finished speaking and stepped back, but it was clear that the group had no intention of letting him go. "Your abilities have been revealed. Now allow me to handle this," the muscular man declared, raising his hand. Immediately, black bone spikes sprouted from his fingers, and he swung them with force. The spikes shot straight towards their target, while the young man fell into a deep sleep. When in danger, a hedgehog would instantly erect its quills. Simultaneously, the muscles like springs within its pores were ready to launch sharp spikes. The thorns shot forth bore sharp hooks. Once they latched onto the skin, they were nearly impossible to remove. To attempt to pull them out would result in severe injury. In that moment, the young man, deep in slumber, suddenly sprouted quills like a hedgehog. A sense of power emanated from his foe, causing the muscular man to feel an unsettling chill. In panic, he commanded his comrades to retreat quickly. But it was too late. As he turned his back, the young man charged forward, a chilling wail echoing throughout the forest. Simultaneously, the battle on the other side had drawn the attention of the villain. Fortunately, Miss Trang had encountered a boy of admirable character. "You don't need to feign unconsciousness any longer, do you? My score has reached the minimum. There's no need to rob you of yours." The man sighed in relief upon hearing this. "I didn't realize you belonged to the Dao sect. I shall take my leave now." The dark bullets perched in the trees observed everything around them, while in a more distant location, a shadow lay in wait. It was clear that this figure knew the capabilities of the villain yet still regarded him as a target. The scene shifted back to the young man. The obese man lay curled up, the thorns embedded deeply in his flesh. His nose crushed to the point that breathing was a struggle. He could only remain silent. Meanwhile, the muscular man, his face twisted in despair, pleaded for forgiveness, yearning to reclaim all the points he had lost. His gaze toward the young man radiated an aura of death, enveloping him in fear. But fortune smiled. As the young man awoke, realizing the damage he had inflicted, he bowed his head, sincerely apologizing. "I'm sorry for what I've done to you. I will leave immediately." With that, he turned away, while the two who initially intended to sneak away returned to the ground. Just as the two breathed a sigh of relief, The young man's voice rang out once more. Ah. Perhaps I will also encounter an opponent I cannot defeat. Could you share some points with me? This way, I can hand them over directly without the need for battle. The man in the hat smiled and replied. Of course, all points are for you. The young man nodded gently. I don't need much. Just 22 points to reach 100. Meanwhile, Miss Trang had also regained consciousness, her eyes blinking as she surveyed the surrounding grass. She guessed it was the young man. You're awake now. Suddenly, a voice startled her, causing her to leap aside and declare that she had 0 points. At that moment, from the grass, a small girl appeared, saying she was aware and meant no harm. Before the match, I noticed you had 0 points, and you seemed very trustworthy. So I wanted to find you to form a team. I wonder if you would agree? Little Trang felt a hint of suspicion. Everyone had left according to the signals. Yet here she was, sought out. The little girl explained, because of my ability, I can track you by memorizing your voice. This meant that when Trang No and the young man fought, she had stood beside them, quietly observing. Initially, I intended to remind you not to touch him. But alas, you acted too swiftly. So, do you know the strength of that young man? The little girl nodded. Yes, because at his waist, he carries a drum, and his earrings are quite magical. After watching his battle with you, I suspect he belongs to Mat Phuong. Mat Phuong wields ancient poison and the power of spirit beasts. It is said that each Mat Phuong has 2 candidates, making a total of 6 from 3 Mat Phuong. If you encounter them, you must flee, for their strength can touch the threads of a great elixirs. The little girl's prediction was entirely accurate. The young man is named Yu Ma Nam Huyen, the youngest son of the leader of Mat Phuong Sa. Mat Phuong Sa was once part of Mat Phuong Yu, a branch that separated from Mat Phuong Yu but was not recognized by the outside world. At this moment, a blade materialized in front of Yu Ma Nam Huyen, and the master of that blade is Dak Nyan Kak Kao Tu Y, who is lost in slumber. The blade trembled fiercely, serving as a warning to its master that someone was approaching, while Kao Tu Y remained in deep sleep. He finally awaited the person he longed for. I have 98 points. If you surpass me, I will share half with you. The young man chuckled in response. I don't want to fight, I just seek a quiet place to rest. May I sleep beside you? As long as you don't snore. I'm fine. With that, the young man lay down next to the elderly man. Yu Ma Nam Huyen replied. I feel you are quite strong, sleeping beside you is definitely safer. Hearing this, Kao Tu Y smiled. You're quite honest, I appreciate that. I am Kao Tu Y. And what is your name? But as he finished speaking, he realized the young man had fallen deeply asleep. Their open slumber attracted the gaze of other contestants. Are those two really sleeping? Or are they just pretending? It must be a ruse. Sleeping out in the open like this surely has traps around. Let's find another target. Only a fool would dare to disturb them. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to Trang No. She had agreed to collaborate with the girl, and the two were searching for a hiding place. They reached their destination, and a secret cave unfolded before them. This was the very spot Trang No had discovered while seeking shelter. Wait a moment. I will check if anyone is inside, Trong Tiu Na said as she extended her hair. After a while, the hair retracted, confirming that there was no one, and the two entered, only to find a vast space within. Afterwards, Trong Tiu Na found a stone to sit on. Seizing the moment of safety, she discussed cooperation strategies with her partner. Lena nodded in agreement. Trong Tiu Na continued. The condition for collaboration is to understand each other well. My score is 0. Show me your score. Upon hearing this, the girl extended her arm, revealing a score of 13. You've seen my abilities, now let me see yours. Lei Na replied. I'm afraid I can't do that. I have 2 abilities. One is to hear sounds to locate their source. The other is to emit a loud sound that can daze others, even rupturing their eardrums. The first ability is too cumbersome to verify. Unless she hides away, I will find her. The second ability might be detected given the current situation. Moreover, if too close, I could also harm her. So, do you have no other means of attack? The girl replied. None left. Zhang Xiao Ya slowly stood up. So that's how it is. Then can you tell me why you hide so many knives in your arm? The moment you appeared, I sensed it from your hair. Upon hearing this, the girl first showed a hint of doubt, unable to conceal it, and hurriedly explained, the knives in my raincoat are for self-defense. Because attacking with sound takes time. Once someone approaches, I'll be at a disadvantage. From what she said, Zhang Xiao Ya clearly did not believe her. Are you still pretending? Since the competition began, I stood far away, observing each contestant's steps. Those with low scores are often vulnerable. easily becoming targets. In contrast, those with high scores are like shadows, always finding ways to evade. Therefore, with low scorers, I will not miss my chance. Time is precious, it cannot be wasted. I have been tracking about 1/3 of the contestants, and most scores fall between 30 and 60. High scores and extremely low scores are nearly non-existent. Among that 1/3 of the weak, you are not one of them. Yet your arm shows a score of 13. Quite interesting. I wonder how you achieved that. Your score must surely be above 30. Is it inconvenient to reveal your abilities? That must be a lie. The girl, exposed, fell silent for a moment. Finally, she no longer pretended, only coldly scoffing. I didn't expect this little girl to be so clever. No one would suspect this seemingly harmless girl harbors such deep schemes. As Zhang Xiaoya unveiled the lie, she too revealed her cards. Before the competition began, I took note of you. Just by observing your driving, I realized you were quietly preparing for victory. I mistook you for a gullible novice, not realizing how cautious you truly are. Even with a cute little sister like me, you can't be easily approached. Zhang Xiaoya wondered why, despite scoring 0, she still had to strategize so carefully. Do you know the saying? When the gunfire sounds, don't be quick to believe. First, let's go together and seize points from others. Once I accumulate enough points I need, I'll stab from behind, even if you lack the strength to take points. If both you and the opponent are injured, I can still profit. For this girl participating in the competition for the first time, it was indeed a perfect choice. Moreover, I have 2 backup plans. In fact, when you fell into a coma, I touched your bracelet. According to the mentioned rule, if the pulse is lost, the points will transfer to the one who touched first. I truly meant it when I said I could track you. So, for the next 7 days, don't die, okay? If not, the one who benefits will be me. At this moment, Trong Tiu Na was filled with intense rage, a powerful aura emanating from her body. The girl, sensing this, quickly stepped back to maintain her distance. In fact, I am the one who led you into this cave. First, it was to confirm your intentions, which are now clear. Secondly, it was to conveniently seize your points. Upon hearing this, the girl laughed. How ridiculous. Do you know why I'm revealing my plan without hiding anything? Because, in my eyes, you pose no threat whatsoever. I've gathered all your information, your invisibility, your hair that can extend, and your control over these abilities. It may be difficult for others, but for me, you are merely a prey without resistance. That's why I chose you as my target. Want to test your strength against me? The girl finished speaking and drew her weapon. At that moment, Trong Tiu Na had already vanished. I told you, invisibility does not work on me. Did you hear what I said? Then, she swept her hand backward, while Trong Tiu Na quickly dodged, revealing a face of disbelief. It turned out that while she was unconscious, the girl had secretly marked her. Any object that was marked could not escape tracking. Therefore, when Trong Tiu Na removed her invisibility and extended her hair forward, the girl was ready for the confrontation. Suddenly, he drew 2 gleaming golden daggers from behind. The attacking strands of hair around him were swiftly severed. Stubborn girl, let me show you my power. Don't blink. With that, the girl flaunted her black weaponry. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of rays of light enveloped him. So, what do you think? Are you dazzled by this brilliance? Or are you about to lose sight of my daggers, not long after? He paused, confident in his 100 battle butterfly blade technique. He was eager to see the look of surprise and admiration on his opponent's face. But Trong Tiu Na remained indifferent. Your speed, among those I know, doesn't even reach 1/10. But I want to see whether your dagger or my fist will be faster. Is the girl you like a cute little thing? Whether you admit it or not, she still is. Hearing this, Trong Tiu Na scoffed. Uninterested in comparing speeds, the girl immediately grew displeased. Do you really not take me seriously? It seems you won't be satisfied until you see blood. With that, he charged forward. Meanwhile, Trong Tiu Na wore a mysterious smile. Fool, my abilities are not limited to just 2. Instantly, a wave of sonic attack erupted from his palm. The girl charged forward just in time to collide with it. When the loud bang resonated, he was immediately sent flying. But at that moment, a strange sight unfolded. Dozens of white papers flew from the girl, shaped like masks. Trong Tiu Na couldn't help but feel puzzled. Could this be her ability? But as he approached, he realized that lying on the ground was a pervert. It turned out that the girl had disguised herself as him. This meant that wherever her papers were, her appearance would change. She had even stuck one on her bracelet. This is why it only displayed 13 points. Shortly after, the man regained consciousness, opening his eyes only to find himself under her control. Trong Tiu Na demanded that he relinquish his points. But he was adamant. I would rather die than give you my points. A brat like you could never kill me. As long as I remain resolute, you can't do anything to me. Do you really think I can't handle you? Why not try my little trick? Instantly, he felt his shoes being removed, followed by 2 strands of hair reaching out. They began to graze against the soles of his feet. In an instant, loud laughter erupted. Indeed, most people are ticklish, but such a loud laugh will easily draw attention. I've heard that itching was considered a form of torture in ancient times. After all, I have time to play with you. Uncertain how much time had passed, the man finally relented. At this point, he had been tormented to the brink of despair. While Trong Tiu Na looked contentedly at the score on her bracelet, 35 points were now hers, needing only 25 more to qualify. However, next time she would choose her target, one must certainly tread carefully. Those participating may harbor hidden maestros like that boy, as well as devious individuals like that pervert. With that thought, he suddenly noticed a red piece of paper on his chest. Overjoyed, he almost forgot the mark of the pervert. Trong Tiu Na discarded the red paper and departed from the cave. Now, her priority was to find food to sustain her strength. Tomorrow, she would continue searching for her next target. Night had fallen, but with her extraordinary sensing abilities, she felt relatively safe. Even if she were discovered, she could still vanish and flee. But at that moment, her eyes widened in sudden realization as she sensed an ominous presence approaching from her right. This feeling reminded her of the last encounter with that boy. Surely, it was another strong opponent. Without hesitation, she decided to investigate. Individuals of such strength could appear in the upcoming competition. Perhaps she could gather some information. After all, as long as she wasn't marked by anyone, her hidden state would keep her undetected. As she drew nearer, suddenly, a piercing scream echoed through the night. Fighting at midnight. Are you not afraid of being discovered? Trong Tiu Na, intrigued, wanted to peep inside, but the scene before her made her break into a cold sweat. Have you seen the man with 6 arms? He was battling in this very forest. The man with red hair chased after the one who flew away, raising his fist high, slamming it down with ferocity. Strangely, the man in black offered no resistance. In the next moment, the red-haired man pursued once more, transforming to manifest 4 additional arms, launching a relentless assault. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of punches were unleashed. As the smoke gradually cleared, a massive pit was revealed in the ground. The red-haired man glared at the figure within the abyss and exclaimed, "Why, when you clearly wish to steal my points, do you remain idle? Is this truly all the power you possess? Pathetic." With that, he reached out, touching his opponent's arm, which instantly splintered in 2. A piercing scream of agony echoed through the air. In the next heartbeat, the arm of the man extended out once more, accompanied by a resounding boom. The red-haired man was immediately sent flying, crashing hard to the ground. Cold sweat streamed down his face. He was astonished at the sheer strength of his adversary, who had felled him with but a single finger. Yet before he could rise, he succumbed to unconsciousness. At that moment, the man in black stepped forward. He gazed down at the fallen figure and murmured to himself. For most, a broken arm would spell the end of their participation in the next battle. But this hulking brute, his arms could regenerate. First, let us shatter the surplus limbs. With that, he set about his grim task. Instantly, the sound of cracking bones reverberated like thunder. The red-haired lad awoke in excruciating pain, only to faint again a moment later. Soon, he found his remaining arm writhing like a serpent, leaving him with but one arm to defend himself. If he were to break both legs, it would surely be the end. The physique of this giant was formidable, yet undeniably, his legs could not compare to the might of his arms. As he began to snap the legs, from afar, Trong Tiu Na unwittingly bore witness to this brutal scene. The brute had already vanquished his foe. Why persist in such barbaric actions? At that moment, the man in black seemed to sense something. It turned out there were still eyes upon him. Immediately, a powerful aura surged from his body, aimed directly at the one who dared to intervene. Under the weight of this oppressive force, Trong Tiu Na felt as though he were frozen in place, unable to move. Now he understood. The opponent before him was worlds apart from the boys he had faced before. The aura radiating from the man in black bore an overwhelming dominance. Realizing the power of this individual, the man in black stood tall, drawing his weapon. Then, he slowly spoke. "You are worthy of my attention. Do you wish to battle me?" This man not only favored clothing that exposed his midriff, but he also reveled in tormenting others. "Do you wish to fight me?" No sooner had he finished speaking than a figure holding a tome approached from a distance. Observing the attire, It seemed to belong to a keeper of secrets. However, Trong Tiu Na had no time to ponder. As he fled, only pausing when the murderous intent no longer lingered, he could not fathom how his presence had been detected. Had he been too complacent? Although I knew that a master would appear, I never anticipated the chasm between us would be so vast. In that fleeting moment, it felt as though death had come close. If the opponent were to strike immediately, I might have no chance to escape. Though I had managed to break free, I still dared not remove the veil of secrecy. How ridiculous. I had vowed to harness my abilities to become a prodigy. Yet now I feel utterly powerless. At this moment, Trong Tiu Na sensed the overwhelming aura emanating from the man in black. Completely losing faith, he returned to the cave where he had been before, concealing his face with his hair, leaning against the rock face, trembling from fear. The scene shifted to the man in black, who regarded the short-haired boy before him with an expectant expression. I hear that everyone here is a candidate of the mysterious master. Your strength must be quite impressive. Yes? Do you wish to test your mettle against me? The short-haired boy shook his head, claiming he was merely passing through, having only scored 67 points, with no reason to engage in combat. Clearly, you could easily defeat the one lying on the ground. Let him prove your score. Why resort to such ruthless methods against him? Upon hearing this, the man in black displayed disappointment, replying that he was merely helping him. With such power, even if one became a prodigy, they could only be attacked by the spirit of the fiend. Cripple him, so he may lead a happier life. What I do is only to aid in the selection of the prodigy. I suppose that is your unfortunate hobby? Din Tin Tu engages in righteous acts. If one does not respect human dignity, this world will lose its virtue. Heaven has created us, striving to elucidate righteousness, while using compassion to mend wounds. Do not treat others with malice. Instead, strive to live harmoniously with everyone. Only then can the angels forgive and protect you. Shut your mouth. The man in black gritted his teeth. If you dare utter another word, I will rip out your tongue. Suddenly, an eye appeared in that book. As the eye opened, the man raised the book towards his opponent. Witnessing this scene, the man in black felt intrigued. The two were on the brink of a tense confrontation. But unexpectedly, the sky began to pour. To his surprise, the man in black turned and walked away. With this power, we will become the center of attention instantly. If a battle erupts, it will be nothing more than a chaotic feast, devoid of any allure. Only true masters can truly savor the essence of this conflict. Let you conserve your strength for the final showdown. Meanwhile, the two slumbering figures remained under scrutiny. The pink-haired boy decided to make them his targets, pretending to sleep amidst the torrential rain. Only a fool would be deceived. Surely, a trap is lying in wait. Yet, with their newfound alliance, their strength may not be as formidable as anticipated. Once the battle begins, it will surely draw the attention of others. The chaos will merely serve as a communal feast, devoid of any emotions that truly matter. Masters like them can only savor the true essence of combat alone, leaving you to the decisive duel. Meanwhile, the two slumbering figures have also been discovered. The man with pink hair has chosen to see these two as prey. In the torrential rain, they feign sleep, and only a fool would believe such a ruse. It seems a trap is lying in wait. However, now that they are grouped together, their strength is certainly negligible. Initially, he intended to seek the nearest source of water, like a predator lying in ambush. To his surprise, he stumbled upon these two fools. The rainy day is my stage. I hope these two dimwits can achieve a cumulative score of 40 points. Instantly, he activated his powers. The ground appeared to liquefy, gradually taking on the shape of a human. Whoosh! A sound erupted as it charged straight towards the target. In the blink of an eye, it was cleaved into water. The face of Cao Tunwen was now filled with excitement. Finally, someone has arrived. He stood up and stretched a little. In this place, with two utterly powerless individuals, they would certainly not come seeking him. The controlled water beings surged forth like a raging tide, and in the decisive moment before the two sides clashed, Cao Tunwen's body suddenly vanished. When he reappeared, all the water beings had been sliced into droplets. Upon closer inspection, he noticed the raindrops falling together formed human shapes. As long as there is water, life shall be eternally reborn. Right? Using you as tools to forge my blade is not a bad idea. I almost forgot about that little brat. This guy sleeps more than I do. Meeting once is fate, so I should save you this time. As he prepared to lend a hand, he suddenly noticed that the dark man in his grasp had sprouted several sharp, pointed bones. In the next instant, the water beings were torn to shreds. It's unbelievable. Attacking while asleep is such a powerful ability. Now I can forge my blade in peace. He reached into the stream, beginning to wield the water. However, after 10 minutes, he realized it was truly dull. The water beings were so weak that he didn't even need to intervene. It seems that unless the one behind this is found, these water beings will continue to revive and attack without end. The opponent is certainly hiding in an extremely secretive place. However, for me, finding him is quite simple. Next, he activated his spiritual searching ability. A translucent veil spread out, and within moments, it detected a patch of grass. You're quite skilled at hiding. Shortly after, a dazzling light exploded in the daylight, and the ground was shattered into fragments. A startled young man with pink hair appeared, and immediately, he was ruthlessly beaten, becoming an unwilling guardian. Time flew by, and the next day had arrived.